Hey Matt, do you think you could pass this on to the pre-production team for me?
No problem, sir. I can do that for you anytime.
Matt, did you just take a picture of the iPhone 14 prototype screens?
What? No, I didn't do that.
I literally watched you take out your phone and take a picture. You could get fired for that.
I think you're crazy, sir, because I would never do such a thing.
You know those same exact screens leaked last year and we never found out who did it?
Yep, that's pretty crazy, but wasn't me.
Okay, well, I know it wasn't me, and I know the pre-production team never gets all four at the same time.
I guess we'll never really know for sure how these leak every year.
Well, thanks for being honest at least. I'm sure iPhone 14 screens will not leak. It's unlikely. Every year we see these types of screen leaks, and they typically end up being pretty accurate. So it once again is kind of doubling down on the 4 iPhone lineup to expect this year, which I absolutely think probably the best seller is gonna be that 14 Max model. This is once again alluding to the idea that that iPhone will make it to market, so again, I'm predicting $900, but a 6.7-inch 60Hz display with an aluminum build is basically going to be the lightest iPhone ever, with a 6.7-inch form factor, and I'm very curious to see how that sells. Before, if you wanted the big display, you had to buy a Pro, and now that may not be the case anymore. But, of course, seeing the eye hole now in its true shape and form on the Pro models, it's giving us a little bit of a sneak peek to a detail that many of you probably gloss over and don't find very important, but it's something I've personally felt makes a much larger difference, which is that the side bezel along the entire edge of the 14 Pros is getting a little bit narrower than it is on the current iPhone 13 lineup. It's a subtle change to be sure, but now seeing the 14 Pros alongside the 14s, it's becoming a bit more clear to me that they want to make the displays a bit more immersive, and not just by cramming pixels above the camera sensors at the top, but actually slimming down the entire border, which I'm all in favor of. In fact, back when I reviewed the iPhone XR, I did not care so much that it was lacking OLED or that the pixel density was low. I didn't really find that big a deal. What I did absolutely notice was the side bezel of the XR was much thicker than the iPhone XS Max I was using before. So I know a lot of people don't want to talk about those side bezels getting thinner, but I absolutely noticed and appreciate it. So when there's far and few between nice things for me to say about the iPhone 14 series, that's one of the nice things I will say. It also appears that the earpiece on the Pros is getting even thinner because it is now officially moving on. It's gotten so old. He's growing up, moving out of the house and going to college, and by house I mean the true depth camera system. He's been trying to move out ever since 2017. He almost did last year, but the iPhone 13 notch tried to hold on to him for a little bit longer. Now it seems like he's completely departed and is almost completely off the phone, frankly. On the 14 Pro Max, you can still see a little bit of a cutout at the top for the earpiece, although it is absolutely thinner than it was before. And for some reason on the regular 14 Pro, it seems like the eye hole cuts down a little bit deeper, and I don't see that much of a cutout for the notch. So we don't know necessarily if these are mock-ups, if they're actual production pieces. Typically mass production for iPhones does start around May, so iPhone 14 isn't officially in mass production yet, but the final design is likely agreed upon by now. So while these may have little rough details that are off, I think that the general look and approach that Apple is bringing with the lineup is evident in this leak. And if you draw in a notch around that eye hole, you can somewhat understand why I'm not a terribly big fan of this approach to the front-facing camera, because it's clearly going to cut in on content a little bit more than before. And we were told by other sources that iPhone 14 Pros were going to get a little bit taller to accommodate for that, but seeing them with the rest of the lineup, I don't think that extra height is going to make it any less obtrusive when it comes to watching video content, especially that's wider than 16:9. Something that may not cut in on your video feeds now may start to cut in with this new eye hole, and because there's 2 hole punch cutouts, you might actually get 2 little notches when watching your favorite tech channels that still film in 2:1. But because your boy still is a believer in 16:9, you should be good. Regardless of what kind of crappy hole or notch your phone has on you, you can have the black bars on the side of these videos, or you can pinch in and embrace every possible pixel. I let the viewer decide. You're welcome. But even if you hate the eye hole, it's important to remember that, quote, Pro and Ross Young have both kind of agreed on the concept that next year for the 2023 iPhones, all of them are going to have the eye hole. There will not be any more notches after this year. So if you like the notch, I apologize. It may not be around much longer. And even though $900 for the 14 Max is still kind of high a price, I'm more interested to see if Apple keeps the 14 Max around in years to come. Because imagine if in the future people are having a hard time justifying upgrading their phones, but they find out for like $800 or $700 you can buy a 6.7-inch iPhone that's OLED and has a okay camera system, you know, with ultra-wide, night mode, and cinematic mode and all that. How could that cannibalize the lineup in the future? Maybe they don't want to keep the 14 Max around. I don't know. But what are your guys' thoughts on the current iPhone 14 lineup that we're aware of? What do you think is real? What is not real? All that good stuff. Let me know what you're thinking down below. This is your Apple Sheep here. I'll see you all in the next one.